हेलो दोस्तों, आप सबका स्वागत है गुरुकुल प्राइम पे। और आज हम एक नई डिबेट के साथ आप लोगों के सामने आए हैं। और ये जो डिबेट है ये बात करती है इंडिया की नेबरहुड पॉलिसी के बारे में। जो अभी तक प्रेजेंट कॉन्टेक्स्ट में देखें, बहुत सारे ऐसे चीजें हुई हैं जिसमें इंडिया की जो फॉरेन पॉलिसी है, खासकर नेबरहुड कंट्रीज के लिए, उसमें थोड़ा सा स्लाइट शिफ्ट हमें देखने को मिला है। फॉर एग्जांपल अगर हम देखें अफगानिस्तान की बात करें, वहाँ पे मॉस्को कॉन्फ्रेंस में हम अपने अनऑफिशियली वहाँ पे रिप्रेजेंटेशन भेजे। और इसके साथ ही श्रीलंका मालदीव्स की जो क्राइसिस हुई, उसमें भी हमारे जो ट्रेडिशनल जो हमारी अप्रोच होनी चाहिए थी इन सारे प्रॉब्लम से रिजॉल्व करने के लिए, वो थोड़ा सा हमें उसमें शिफ्ट देखने को मिला है। तो आज हम पूरा यही जानेंगे कि अभी प्रेजेंट कॉन्टेक्स्ट में क्या हमारी नेबरहुड पॉलिसी है, क्या हम एक सही डायरेक्शन पे जा रहे हैं या उसमें हमें कुछ और चेंजेस लाने की जरूरत है, वो हम अपने गेस्ट के साथ यहाँ पे डिस्कस करेंगे। तो मेरे साथ मौजूद हैं अंशुमन सिंह और गौरव सिंगल। तो आप इन दोनों को पहले से जानते हो, पहले हम काफी डिबेट्स में पार्टिसिपेट कर चुके हैं। तो चलिए आज की डिबेट स्टार्ट करते हैं और ज्यादा इंसाइट लेने की कोशिश करते हैं। पहले हम गौरव, आपका स्वागत है। और और आज मेरा क्वेश्चन आपसे ये है कि अगर आप देखें कि जब से मोदी जी आए हैं 2014 से, और तब से हमारी काफी सारी, अगर आप मीडिया में देखें, बहुत सारी लोगों के बीच में ये भावना है कि बहुत सारे फॉरेन रिलेशंस हमारे अच्छे हुए हैं, चाहे वो यूएस के साथ हो तो या फिर बाकी और कंट्रीज के साथ। बोलते हैं कि बहुत ज्यादा लाइमलाइट में रहती हैं चीजें, मीडिया उसको कवर करता है। बट अगर आप देखें हमारी जो नेबरहुड कंट्रीज हैं, चाहे इंडिया की पाकिस्तान की बात करें, श्रीलंका की बात करें, नेपाल की बात करें, भूटान की बात करें, या फिर इंडियन ओशन में मालदीव्स की बात करें, तो पुरानी जैसे हमारी जो डॉक्ट्राइन थी, चाहे गुजराल जी की बात करें या फिर अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी की बात करें, तो क्या कुछ कॉन्टेक्स्ट में अगर देखें कुछ चेंज हमें देखने को मिला है? क्या हम अपने पुराने स्टैंड से थोड़ा सा चेंज हुए हैं? तो इसके बारे में आपका क्या ओपिनियन है?
Okay. सी नेबरहुड फर्स्ट पॉलिसी जो है ये काफ़ी पुरानी पॉलिसी है हमारी। इसका अगर देखा जाए ओरिजिन वैसे तो एंशियंट टाइम से ही था, मतलब मौर्यन टाइम में, जब चाणक्य ने थ्योरी दी थी अर्थशास्त्र में, तो उनकी सप्तांग थ्योरी में फॉरेन में अपने नेबर्स का भी काफ़ी रोल था। खैर इतना डीप हमें नहीं जाना है, इतने पास में नहीं जाना। बट अब हम बात करते हैं गुजराल डॉक्ट्राइन की, जो हमारे पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री थे श्री आई के गुजराल जी, उन्होंने गुजराल डॉक्ट्राइन दी थी। और उसमें एक क्लॉज ये था कि वो कह रहे थे इंडिया और कंट्री का डिस्प्यूट है, नेबरिंग कंट्री का, तो उसमें वो कुछ भी देने को तैयार है सिवाय इंडिया की सॉवरेनिटी के। तो मतलब एक बात की थी यूनिलैटरल असिस्टेंस की। तो इससे कहीं ना कहीं वो बिग ब्रदर एटीट्यूड आया कि हमारे पास ज्यादा रिसोर्सेस है, हम अपने रिसोर्सेस आपको दे सकते हैं, हमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। फिर बात आती है जब अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी की रेजिम थी, तो उन्होंने एक बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट स्टेटमेंट बोला था कि हम अपने फ्रेंड्स चुन सकते हैं बट हम अपने नेबर्स नहीं चुन सकते हैं। तो इसी स्टेटमेंट से पता चल गया था कि नेबरहुड की कितनी ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस थी उनकी फॉरेन पॉलिसी में। फिर उसके बाद नई यूपीए गवर्नमेंट आई थी। यूपीए गवर्नमेंट के टाइम पे फॉरेन पॉलिसी में इतना कुछ खास लैंडमार्क चेंज नहीं हुआ था। अब बात आती है 2014 की, जब श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी इलेक्शन जीते थे। तो सबसे पहला काम उन्होंने क्या किया था, वो किया था कि जो नेबरहुड में सारे लीडर्स है, या सार्क कंट्रीज की बात करें, तो सार्क कंट्रीज के सभी लीडर्स को बुलाया अपने स्वेरिंग सेरेमनी में। तो उसी से पता चल गया था कि जो उनका मेन फोकस है और उनका मेन एजेंडा है वो अपने नेबर्स के अच्छे रिलेशन रखने का। पिछले कुछ इन 4 सालों में अगर देखा जाए इनिशियल पीरियड में, जैसे कि हम बात करें नेपाल कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल क्राइसिस जब हुआ था, या बांग्लादेश की बात करें, तो स्टार्टिंग में ऐसा कहीं ना कहीं लगा था लोगों को कि उस टाइम पे इंडिया बिग ब्रदर एटीट्यूड कर रहा अपना रहा है। बट आज के टाइम पे हम बात करें तो आज के टाइम पे ऐसा एटीट्यूड देखने को नहीं मिलता। तो देखा जाए हमारी फॉरेन पॉलिसी का एवोल्यूशन एक लंबा सफर रहा है और इसमें काफी सारे चेंजेस आए हैं। बिग ब्रदर एटीट्यूड के पे हमें ब्लेम किया गया, बट आज के टाइम पे अगर हम बात करें तो ऐसा एटीट्यूड बिल्कुल देखने को नहीं मिलता है। तो इससे पता चलता है कि हमारी फॉरेन पॉलिसी काफी मैच्योर हो गई है।
यस, थैंक यू गौरव। अंशुमन, मेरा आपसे एक यहाँ पे एक फॉरवर्ड क्वेश्चन है, जहाँ पे गौरव ने फिनिश किया कि इंडिया को अक्यूज किया जाता है, जो हमारी नेबरिंग कंट्रीज, जो स्मॉल कंट्रीज हैं, वो बोलती हैं कि हम इंटरनल पॉलिटिक्स में उनको इंटरवीन करते हैं। चाहे वो आप देखें नेपाल ने जब कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बनाने की बात की, तब भी ऐसा माना जाता है। श्रीलंका के साथ हम पहले कर चुके हैं, बट अभी जो क्राइसिस हुई हमने उतना इंटरवीन नहीं किया। तो ये कुछ आप इस चीज से एग्री करते हो जो इंडिया पे ब्लेम लगाया जाता है कि इंडिया इंटरवीन करता है जो इंटरनल पॉलिटिक्स है इनमें?
Clearly, India, thank you, Amit, for the question. So, clearly, this is a wrong assertion that India behaves as a big brother. But there were some factors which were not very explicit from Indian side, but were more of implicit, but were interpreted as intervention from India's side. See, the basic change that have occurred from last 2 decades and versus the present scenario is that China is very willing to invest in these countries. So ideally in the past the relation of India with the neighbors were very cordial and they were bilaterals, cordial relation on the equal footing. But what happened now that these countries also have a China card to play, so somehow they are exerting more. So this is the scenario that this thing has come up of big brother attitude. Some of the example that we can find is like during the Nepal transitioning from the monarchy to the democracy, they came up with the new constitution, and the constitution was not very inclusive. So it did not cater to the demands of the Madheshis population which live in the Terai region. So pertaining to that, it was followed with a blockade from the Madheshi side, but certainly many fuel, food and other commodities, their transport was stopped in the border, and the media projected, especially Nepal, it projected as if India is behaving as big brother. So this is one of the instances. The same thing happened with the Bhutan. So like Gaurav has already mentioned about the Gujral doctrine. So we see that the most important thing is to respect the territorial integrity and sovereignty of the other country. So it was only one instance way back when Bhutan wanted to swap some certain territory with China in the Chunghi Valley region, which also impacted India's sovereignty because it would impact India's chicken neck corridor, that is the Siliguri corridor. At that time, India resorted to stopping all the subsidies, including the LPG subsidy. But other than that, I don't see there were any explicit instance where India acted as a big brother. But the scenario has changed. That China is more than willing to invest, and people are using, the countries are using this Chinese card more often. And the only difference is now that we are very aware of this impression that India has. India is very carefully taking steps and ensuring that its statement or action does not, be interpreted in a manner like of a big brother. Yeah.
Okay. So, for example, if we see the Sri Lanka or Bangladesh, so if you take the example of Bangladesh, Gaurav, I would like to ask the question to you that in the context of when Rohingyas were forced to leave from Myanmar to the Bangladesh, when there were a lot of eyes from the US and other international institutions towards the Bangladesh. And also, if you see about some domestic policy, for example, in Assam, NRC updation is going on. So, if some names left from the NRC, then what will happen that as we are saying that those people moved from Bangladesh to India in the history. So, what will happen because the Bangladesh unofficially is complaining that India is not cooperating in the context of Rohingyas issue or in the NRC update. So India should be more inclusive. It's okay, you are not behaving as a big brother, but you should have a more inclusive approach. You should understand the pain of the Bangladesh. And even if I tell you the issue was related to Tista River, the water sharing issue was also there with the Bangladesh, but things have not moved smoothly. So what do you think about the India-Bangladesh relation in the present context? Yes, Gaurav.
Okay. See, first of all, regarding the illegal immigrant issues, you must understand one thing that India and Bangladesh do not have a deportation treaty. So even if we find out that who all are illegal immigrant, deporting them back to Bangladesh won't be an easy task. For that, we need to have high level talks, and Bangladesh must be willing to accept the refugees back. So I don't think that right now we can say that what will happen, because it is anybody's guess. If there would have been a deportation treaty already in place, then it would have been very easy to say that all these illegal migrants will be deported back to Bangladesh. But right now, Bangladesh is saying that we have not sent any illegal migrants, and India is saying that there are illegal migrants. So this is a tussle going on. But
Mm-hmm.
in every other issue except for Teesta and Farakka barrage, relation is progressing quite a bit. We can see that Agartala, Tripura Agartala highway being developed. It will reduce transit cost between northeast and the mainland India. So
Mm-hmm.
we can see definitely see that things are improving. But as Anshuman already said about the China card, so that is the biggest problem India is facing right now. That Bangladesh has given its Chittagong port to development to China.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, since China is developing the Chittagong port, it is always possible that some time Bangladesh might also fall prey into the hands of China's trap. So we must first of all that it does not happen. And here I would like to add one more point that Bangladesh or any other nation, island nation for that matter, this issue because of China is that there is a theory in foreign policy which is called the Mandal theory of foreign policy. Now, the Mandal theory of foreign policy says that your immediate neighbor is your enemy, and the immediate neighbor of your neighbor is your ally. Let me
Mm-hmm.
give you a few examples. For example, Pakistan and India. So, India's immediate neighbor is Pakistan. So, by the Mandal theory of foreign policy, we can say Pakistan is India's enemy. Pakistan's immediate neighbor are Iran and Afghanistan. Both are very close friends of India. So this is how Mandal theory of foreign policy applies here. Let me give this from the perspective of China. China's immediate neighbor is India, and India's immediate neighbor is Pakistan on one side and Bangladesh on the other side. Now China is maintaining a very cordial relation with Pakistan, as we all know. We can see the CPEC, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Now China is trying to do the same with Sri Lanka, with Bangladesh, Maldives, etc. So it is basically China is trying to encircle India through making more friendly relations with all
Mm-hmm.
the neighboring state of India. So
Mm-hmm.
that is why we have to ensure that our relation with Bangladesh or any other neighboring country, for that matter, must remain good. So this is the main point over here.
Okay. Uh, I was reading the Hindu and I saw one interesting news, and most of the people were happy, and most of the people raised some of the question. So the thing is that corridor that is in news for the Sikh pilgrims, we have opened up the corridor for the Sikh community so that they can visit Pakistan on the occasion of 550th birth celebration of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. So, do you think this is an opportunity for India to make a smooth relation with the Pakistan? Because if you see after the Uri attack, we have not done any talk with the Pakistan, and even in the UN, we decided not to talk with the Pakistan. And so now, do you think that such small steps like opening up the Karatar corridor would help India and Pakistan relation in a new way? Because Pakistan and India relation had been so much kind of flip-flop. So, Anshuman, do you think that Karitar corridor opening is a next step for India-Pakistan relationship to become on the to move on the next stage?
Yeah. So this demand for Kartarpur Sahib Gurdwara corridor was very old, and it is a positive gesture from both the sides that they have now decided to open the corridor and ease the visa process. And reduce the distance. So it is a very positive step, but the relation between India and Pakistan is very complicated, and of course this is a positive sign, but there are many other factors. So like Captain Amrinder Singh, the CM of Punjab, has also expressed his displeasure that on one side we are talking about Kartarpur corridor, and on the other side the army chief is ordering ceasefire violation and helping other attacks.
Mm-hmm.
So certainly this has continued, uh, and other than that, the major issue with Pakistan is that there are two power centers, unlike India. And so we see that a regime change and positive gesture from Imran, the new prime minister side, but otherwise the army hierarchy has remained same, and we never know about their stance. So we also know the influence that army carries in Pakistan. So one of the major issue and the complexity that will remain is due to lack of democratization of Pakistan government. So this is the concern. So of course we should be positive, we should be optimistic that Kartarpur may, start another era of peaceful process. But as of now, it would be too soon and too positive.
Mm-hmm. To continuation to Pakistan-India relation, I would like to ask Gaurav one more question. That India and Pakistan have a problem related to because of the terrorism, and also one of the issue like CPEC that is affecting our sovereignty. So, do you think until we solve some principal conflict between India and Pakistan like terrorism, because even if you see in 2008 Mumbai attack, the deep state of Pakistan was involved in this, and also if you talk about the CPEC region, so until we solve such fundamental issues, it's very difficult to move up to the next stage. Even if we open up the Karitar corridor, it's my opinion. What do you think about it?
See, I agree with your point also, and with Anshuman also. Like he said that there are two power corridors in Pakistan. One is Islamabad, and other is Rawalpindi. I
Mm-hmm.
would like to say that now there are three power corridors in Pakistan. We should factor in China as well. Now
Mm-hmm.
we can see that before election is Imran Khan's manifesto, and now what Imran Khan is saying. Before election, Imran Khan was anti-India. I can say it right now that his stand was against talking with India and against talk for Taliban, etc. But now the stand has changed because of, mostly I can say this, because of China's issue.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that even not only India is accusing Pakistan of terrorism, even US, which was a traditional ally of Pakistan, it is also accusing the Pakistan for spreading terrorism in Afghanistan region as well. Even the Financial Action Task Force has put Pakistan into the grey list. So yes, Pakistan is, um, uh, I can say, troubled with terrorism itself, and because it is a safe haven for terrorists, the talks can never happen with Pakistan due to this terrorism reason also, and also because even if we talk to the Prime Minister of Pakistan, it will be of no use, because unless the army supports Pakistan fully, which it has never done, we can see that three former Prime Minister of Pakistan have been executed. So
Mm-hmm.
that is the biggest problem, that power does not flow from Islamabad, it actually flows from Rawalpindi. And
Okay.
whatever we want to talk, it would be of much use unless Rawalpindi, that is the army is involved, and there is no point in involving army with in talks. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this fundamental problem will always remain until and unless a leader comes in Pakistan which who is so powerful that at least he can control the army. But I don't see it happening very soon.
Okay, okay. So, Anshuman,
Yeah, so I would just like to add on that so there is a saying in international relation that good fences make good neighbors.
mm-hmm.
So this is one aspect that Pakistan has a safe havens for terrorism and it may support cross-border terrorism as well. But on India's part, until unless we secure our borders, like using the latest technology, like on the lines of Israel using the laser technology. So
Mm-hmm.
until we completely secure our borders on our part, and ensure peace in the region for a while. So until that occurs, we cannot be sure of initiating any talks with Pakistan. So we need buffer phase of a few years where we secure our borders and we ensure that any attempt for terrorism fails. So until that happens, from our side we cannot be sure of initiating peace talks with Pakistan. Yeah.
Okay. So, one more fundamental question related to Afghanistan. Initially, we were talking that we want a Afghan-led solution in the Afghanistan. We won't sit with the Taliban. But right now, as Russia organized a Moscow conference where India unofficially sent our two diplomats, former diplomats there. But historically we see we were not in the favor of this. So is it a slightly policy change towards the Afghanistan? Because we have so much investment in the Afghanistan. We help Afghanistan in building the parliament, and also for the fight against the Taliban, we send so much keep peacekeeping missions there in form of various reliefs. But we were never so much courageous, I must say, that we will sit with the Taliban. Right now we are just like sending our diplomats to the Moscow conference. So do you think it's a slight change? So what do you think, Anshuman?
Yes, so there has been a slight change, but it is for a reason. So for long we have been against involving Taliban in any sort of peace talks, and we must agree that India has huge stakes in Afghanistan. We have built the Salma Dam, we have built the Zarang Telaram Road, and we are also planning to connect it to the Chabad Fort in Iran. So we have huge stakes in Afghanistan, and we are always concerned that how the peace process goes on. And coming back to the issue that how we have sent unofficially observers to the Moscow conference, it is also another aspect that we do not want to be left behind in such a huge initiative, taken by Russia. So it is also for this reason that now that all the world global forces, even the USA has sent their observer. US has also sent their observer. So it is also one of the instances we have to send our observer, seeing the new world order. So we cannot be left behind. So that can be one of the reasons.
Okay, so for the last few questions, I want to open up the debate, and just I want to let China involved in this debate, because China plays a central role in our overall neighborhood policy, be it Sri Lanka, in the context of Hambantota port, or Maldives, or like Seychelles. So these are the things when we see in the news that even India is cooperating with the US, Japan, and Australia. We formed a quad that we won't allow China to freely navigate or violating the free navigation in Indian Ocean region. And also, if you see, two things happened recently. One thing was with the Sri Lankan crisis, when Sri Lankan president ousted its prime minister and appointed another prime minister. Then also we did not say anything. And when Maldives crisis happened, and if you see in the history during the Rajiv Gandhi, we sent there our troops there when the Maldives regime was going to be overthrown on that time. But for this instance, when it was like everybody is seeing towards India, US was looking towards India, Western countries were looking India, that India will intervene either with Sri Lankan crisis or with the Maldives crisis. But we decided not to do this. Be it our historical lesson that we have learned, that we lost our former Prime Minister, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, in the War of Leyte, or what do you think? That I want to understand the change dynamics of the Indian Ocean region, be it Sri Lanka, Maldives, Seychelles. So what do you think? How should India counter the China? Because there was one more leaked paper that Sri Lanka wants to set a string pull theory, where they want to develop so much infrastructure in the Sri Lanka or in the Maldives, or even on the upper side CPEC. So China was trying to cover the India as per the string pull theory. So how do we tackle the China, and how should we have acted towards the Sri Lankan crisis, Maldives crisis? So I would like to take the opinion of this from Gaurav. Yes, Gaurav.
Okay, so see, first how we should have acted and how we are acting. We must understand the what we have done previous. Now, in the past, we have always meddled with the internal politics of these nations. For example, you already said about Leyte, that India all meddled with Leyte and we lost our prime minister. But
Mm-hmm.
the thing is that presently we can understand that things have changed quite a bit. In the Nepal, when the constitutional crisis happened, we lost or we almost lost our relationship with Nepal, and China came closer to Nepal. So we understood that if we played a role of big brother, no country wants that right now. If we want our sovereignty to be intact, then these other smaller nations also want. No matter how small you are, there are some fundamental principles, some fundamental ideas like sovereignty or equal justice. Everyone feels that is so. That is why we don't want to meddle with the sovereignty. Now we had Doklam issue last year. In spite of us backing Bhutan in the Doklam issue, still our relationship with because of a few reasons. For example, border road organization construct road in the neighboring countries also along the border. So over there, border road organization put up a signpost in Bhutan, and there was Indian flag. So there was Bhutan also in the construction of airport. So this was an example of Bhutan. Now let us come to the example of Sri Lanka or these Maldives, etc. So right now the constitutional crisis is happening in Sri Lanka, but Indian government is not intervening in that. Similarly, in the Maldives also, when the elections were going, even when the opposition parties were asking for Indian help, India did not help explicitly. It helped, a bit morally, it helped, but not in the form of explicit support. So it now shows that India is not adopting a big brother approach. Now let us understand why China is investing so much in these island nations. So first thing is that China wants to be a dominant world power. And for being a dominant world power, the best option you have right now is the economy. So if you gain control of the world economy somehow, you can become the world's most dominant superpower. And now for gaining control of economy, you have to increase your trade very much. Now, since we must also understand that China has lost its demographic dividend, or I can say that China's population is aging. Now, China won't remain a manufacturing hub for long. Sooner, in within 10 or 15 years, it is possible that India will become the next manufacturing hub. So China knows it, that its economy is slowing down and it has to counter India. Now it will counter India. So that is why China is encircling India through setting up ports in the island nations. For example, it has set up the Chittagong port in Bangladesh, Gwadar port in Pakistan, and this Hambantota port in Sri Lanka. So it has also gained, or I must say, bought some islands in Maldives. So through this, China is trying to encircle India in the Indian Ocean region. So to counter China, now India is also trying to do the same thing, but India is pursuing this less as China, as compared to China.
Anshuman, one more thing. We see in Djibouti, China has set up their naval base, and and also China has built the Hambantota port, and they have given so much loan to the Sri Lanka that in future it would be like a debt trap for them, and they won't be able to pay the interest. And also to counter all these things, India tried something, as I know, because India tried to invest in the Seychelles, in the Assumption Island, but India, due to some diplomatic issues in the domestic issues in the Seychelles, India were later denied that opportunity. And even for the to counter the Hambantota port, we tried to invest in the Matala airport, but because of domestic Sri Lankan policy, we later denied those opportunity. Even in the Maldives, we were not able to attract the previous regime. Let's see how do we proceed with the latest regime. So do you think, is it a foreign policy failure from Indian side that China is moving fast than India? Even we are at like we have so much geographical advantage. If you see that we have so much Indian Ocean border and so much these small countries around us, but still China is able to reach before India to these countries, and these small countries are not allowing India, and they are having more trust towards the China than India. So how should we deal with this situation? Yes.
Okay. So your question essentially is like around China's timber wall theory, where it is surrounding India with all the ports, and how India should react, how India should proceed in this scenario. So answering this question, I would say that uh, this region called Indian Oceanic Rim region, it is a very strategic region, because like more than 40% trade globally passes through Strait of Malacca and Hormuz, Strait of Hormuz, and also regarding piracy. issues also. It is very strategically globally important. So this is also one of the reasons that China wants to increase its presence in the region. But our concern is that given India's proximity to all these region and all these countries, still China is having an upper hand in the region. It is simply a reflection of economic growth. China has a lot to invest and a lot to spare, so it has been very quick in giving line of credit, whereas India has a very bad reputation in this regard. We have promised line of credit to oceanic countries, also to Gulf countries, certain Gulf countries and Arabian countries, African countries, sorry. And our infrastructure project have not really taken off. So this is the reason why countries go for China. But now coming on to the second part, we have our soft power. We do not have the military strength on the economic strength, but we have a soft power, and we have been saying this now and then that this is going to be a debt trap for countries seeking loan from China. And now what we did back then has started to reap fruits, and countries are beginning to realize that they are falling into debt trap. One of the example being China, who has one of the example being Sri Lanka, who fall into the debt trap regarding the Hambantota port, and it has to lease out rights for that port. So other countries, the people of other countries has also realized this fact, and this is also the reason of the regime change in Maldives. And other countries are in the time to come will realize this. So this is one of the things that we have done successfully. Another thing is that we have to explicitly increase our presence by asserting ourselves as a major naval power in the region, and assure security for all the cargo transiting through the region, and collaborate with countries like all the oil that flows through the region. We also have to fight piracy, and all this is going to happen through close cooperation with other countries and more naval investment by India. So this is another way where we can increase our presence. Third wave is going to be on the line of China, like China has a naval base in Djibouti. So we are also planning certain things in this regard. We are in talks with Indian Oceanic island countries. So I don't recall the exact name, but one of the island nation has also agreed. So this is also one of the manner in which we can tackle this string of pearl theory. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So
I would like to add
yeah.
one more point that if we want to tackle China, we cannot do it alone. For that, we have to take the help of regional groupings like BIMSTEC and ASEAN. So that is why right now India and ASEAN our partnership with BIMSTEC and ASEAN will be a key factor in determining how much we will be able to counter China, because even the ASEAN nations are not too friendly with China right now because of the South China Sea issues. Their sovereignty is also being harmed by China. So right now, if we want to counter China, we have to ensure that our relationship with these countries, and not only with ASEAN and BIMSTEC, our relationship with Quad grouping and also with African nations has to improve. So right now, the best thing will be, as Anshuman said, to invest in our naval forces and to invest in other islands like China, but also to invest in our relationship with the other countries.
Okay. So before I conclude, I would like to ask one more question. That do we need a specific doctrine in the context of Indian Ocean region? Because I was reading so many articles where there was a conflict between these. Few experts were saying that we need a specific doctrine for the Indian Ocean region, like island countries for the Maldives, Sri Lanka, or Seychelles. So do we need a specific doctrine for a particular country? And I would like to extend this argument to all our neighborhood policy. Do we need a specific doctrine for each country, or we need to strengthen our own, we need to invest more in defense, like naval, like Gaurav said, we need to invest more in maritime, because we are not investing so much money that as compared to China. Because as Anshuman said, the major difference between India and China, that China has a lot of money to invest. India does not have so much money, and even whatever, if you see our budget proportion, then also we are not investing in our defense or the maritime forces. So, do you think that we need to strengthen our own internal security in the context of Indian Ocean region? And at the same time, do we need a specific doctrine? So I would like to ask this concluding question to both of you before we end this debate. Yes, Chuman.
Yeah, so regarding the question that do we need a doctrine, I'm not really sure because we already have a very good doctrine in place, Gujarat doctrine, which is very broad in this sense. And also given the new, changing world order, things have become very dynamic and, a fixed doctrine would make us more rigid in our approach. So we need to keep our eyes and ears open like we did recently by changing this perception of big brother attitude. We did not interfere in Maldives, neither in Sri Lanka. So this is the very dynamic process. All having said this, we need to keep in mind that while engaging with other countries, we have to respect their sovereignty and territorial integrity. So this is something we also expect from others. So this is all we need. We also need to strengthen our economy and our defense. Overall, I won't say that we would need a specific doctrine. We only need to strengthen the momentum that we have already taken up. Right.
Yes. Gaurav, what do you think about this?
So yeah, I agree with Anshuman to that point that we don't need a specific doctrine because the world is changing very fast. And also, I must say that even if we want to make up policies with these nations, we must not make these policies only in the context of China. See, China is one of the best trading partners of India, and that is why we need China to be our friend. We don't want to make China our enemy, no matter what China's intentions are. So what thing we must do is we must enhance our relationship with these countries like these groupings like ASEAN, RCEP, which includes China also, or the PIMSTEC, and also individual relationship with these countries. But these countries should these relationship should be in the context of India's needs, such as trade or security, regional security, etc. China must be a factor, but the policy should not be specifically to counter China, because if our policy is specifically to counter China, it will be us who will lose the most. So that is my point, that make policies regarding our national interest in the larger sphere, not only in the sphere of China.
Yes. So I would like to thank both of my guests to give their precious time again and again. So at this moment, just close this debate. Let's conclude this debate. And next time we will come up with the more interesting debate. And if you have any suggestions, you can write in comment section that if you want some debate on some specific topic, or if you want to reach out to Anshuman and Gaurav. So I'll provide you their various social media links in the description box. So thank you. Bye bye and take care.